All right, now, so here we are at exercise, I believe, 35. And we're going to go now with something much more complex. We're going to recreate this in my notes. And it's a multi-level structure, and we're going to scale it, measure it in 2-point, and put multi-levels. I'm going to show you how to scale up different floors, and then we'll put some figures and a little bit more detail through this exercise. So that's what's coming up. Let's go ahead and get to it. I'll put this to right off the camera so I can reference it, but that's what we're going to. So let's go ahead and set up our fundamental 4 here. So I'm going to put my my horizon line in, and that will be 9 inches from the bottom of my page, my piece of paper, up to the horizon line. So that's 9 inches. So I'm going to try to be pretty exact in my notes. So I might do a few things just a little bit different, give you some measurements that I might not normally do, so you can keep your drawing as accurate to mine as totally possible. So there's the horizon line here, so HL. I'm going to be out far for just a little while, and then I'll come back in. So that's horizon line, and also eye line. Now our elevation, I haven't said it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you the elevation, and you can label it, is going to be 6 units. So I'll put 6 units, and each unit of scale is going to be 3 feet. So that's going to be, we're going to be elevated about 18 feet in the air. Or ½ inch is going to equal 3 units of scale. So that's just what's coming up. So now I'll put in my center of vision, my center point here at 12 inches, 12 inches in. Got that. Comes our center of vision, which we'll be doing our scaling. So just to remember, when you scale, you're going to scale up your center of vision, right? I have students scaling their horizon line or somewhere else than a ground line. That happens at NKU, and I have to correct that. So just be careful out there in YouTube land when you scale. If you can follow along with me pretty well, then hopefully you can start to take this into a more creative solution for yourself. All right, so we have our center of vision, eye line. Then along the center of vision, I want to put the station point at, let's see, it's going to be 8 units back from the measuring line and the ground line. So we have to scale a little bit. So let's scale down 6 units, and ½ inch equals 3 units. Let me write this down here. So in my drawing, ½ inch equals 3 foot units, or 3 feet. So ½ inch equals 3 feet. So that's going to be interesting. So I'll talk about number of units and then the feet they demarcate. So ½ inch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's where our ground line, our measuring line, will be at 6 units. Okay. So I'll put that down. Nice horizontal line across. Now I haven't put in my cone yet, and I've got the cone in my notes. I pretty much stayed within that cone. Let me show you that. I think I'll leave the cone out. I might just demarcate it with a line here and a line here, but I'll leave the cone out here too. We've got so many lines going on that you can start to do that if you need to. But I'll go ahead and set it in when I get my station point. And I'll just demarcate the line. I won't put the true circle there, so we just know it's there. You don't always have to do that. Matter of fact, you never have to do that. I do that to show you what's going on. So here we are now at our ground line, our measuring line. You can label that just GL and ML for ground line, excuse me, and measuring line. Then I've got in my notes that we're going to be 8 units, ½ inch units back from the ground line here. So that puts us 8 more ½ inch units back. So we'll demarcate that and scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's our station point right there with a nice big dot to go off of, and then I'll just demarcate the edge boundaries of our cone without, excuse me, without, that was a loud noise, without demarcating the whole thing with the compass. So 30 degrees is half our cone. to there. There's the outside edge of the cone there. And of course the same thing on the other side here. There we go. And I'll get the other side, and we'll look like we're going to stick within the cone pretty well. I have to be super exact and communicate that to you so we get that correct in our notations. Okay, so we have now measuring. I'm going to go ahead and measure up a little bit more in with our center of vision. So let's bring this up. Let's bring some scale lines up pretty high. So each 1/2 inch represents 3 feet. The building, the structure we're going to make is going to be, there we go, 10 units to the left, 18 units to the right, and about 15 units or so, well, maybe more than that, high. I don't have that necessarily written down. Yeah, about 5 units, 15 feet for each floor, so about 30 feet. So about 10 units or so high. So we'll get there when we get there. But I want to go ahead and scale it up 1/2 units. And let's go ahead and scale now on our measuring line 1/2 units as well. So slow me down and catch up as you need. Pause the video, which is great. So these are all 1/2 units in scale along the ground line, measuring line. Remember, that's our elevation line. So from the ground line to the horizon line gives us our elevation at 6 units up. Times 3 is 18 feet in the air, so we're pretty high. So we'll be able to see a little bit on the second floor, and there's a reason I want that. It gives it a better look and view. Okay, so we're demarcating marks here. All right, pretty good and wide out here. And these are all 1/2 unit marks, and I just call where our center of vision comes down. That's kind of ground point 0, if you will, for measuring, where I can count over. So we've got that. Okay, so we're good there. Put these out good and far enough. Okay, so we're 6 units in elevation, 8 feet back here, 8 inches back from our ground line here. So we're 18 feet tall, 6 units tall, and then we're 8 feet back from the front of the structure. That's important to know. Okay, so the next thing I want to do after that is I want to put down where our corner here, and let me come in, I'll show you. So we're recreating this drawing, and I'll show you how recreating it's a little bit different than doing it for my notes, just because I have to teach it through. So we're going to come over 1, 2, 3 units from 0, and that's going to be the corner of where we're going to start our measuring. You can measure, you can start a corner anywhere and then bring it back out or away from later on. As long as you have some area to scale, you're totally good to go. So we usually do it inside the cone, and I'll push it over a little bit. So we're at 0, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3 units over, and that's where we're going to put our corner for our measuring. All right, so let me come off that. So we are down here, okay, we're at 0, and we're going to measure or look over 1, 2, 3 units. So 1, 2, 3 units. That's going to be the corner of where we're going to send our vanishing point. Now, I went ahead and preset in my vanishing points with my triangle. Remember how we can do that? Set it and pivot that for effect. So what I've got is something that looks about like that. Now, in order to get that pretty exact, I went ahead and measured that over. So the left vanishing point, I created that arbitrarily. That's 5 3/8 inches from the left edge. All right, that makes it a little bit easier to find. So it's 5 3/8 inches from the very left edge of the paper. So let me come out and show you that. This is a little bit different than normal. So 5 3/8 inches from the end of the paper over, that's where I'll put the left vanishing point. So I'll measure 5, okay, and 1, 2, 3/8 inches, 1, 2, 3/8 inches, that's where my LVP is, left vanishing point. There we go, okay? So now I could draw a line through, find my 90, or I can just give you the measurement from the right edge over to the right vanishing point, and I've got in my notes that's 4 3/8 inches. So 4 3/8 of an inch over. That's where I've got the RVP of the right vanishing point. Okay, so I want to make that pretty exact, and of course, if I do this correctly, yep, see I can double check and prove it. See where they line up. There's my 90-degree angle between those two vanishing points, and it's slightly off kilter, which I want for effect. Now, that gives me from our corner at 3, where our structure will be measured from, okay, that's going to give me the place where I can drive back to the left vanishing point for our left plane reading. Remember, right through there, left vanishing point, all the way through. And I'm going to come back further. I'm going to come back further, pretty far, because we're going to come out with the structure. And that's going to be, remember that, that's our left plane. So I'm going to label that L. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing through the right vanishing point to get our dimension, or diminishment, excuse me, through the corner of 3 there, all the way through, and then some. Okay, there we go. Keep on coming out, and that will get us our right plane, and I will label that R. That's pretty important. Okay, so we've got that. Now, the next thing that we want to do, since we've got our diminishment, is to start bringing, remember, our swinging vanishing points up to create our measurement points. All right, so you remember how to do that. We swing them up from the left vanishing point through the station point. Let me label that SP down here, SP. Remember, that's swinging. So from the left vanishing point through here, remember that swings up to find our measuring point. So I just measure it and bring that measurement up. So I've got in my drawing, it is at 9, and it looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eighths. 9 7/8 over. So that's 9 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 7/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. So 9 7/8 is our left measuring point. So I'll label that L and P, nice and light, L and P there, pretty small there. Remember, we're just swinging over. Same thing with the right vanishing point. We'll line it up from the station point to the right vanishing point, and remember, that's just going to swing up for our right measuring point, and then I just measure that. I've got 10 1, 2, 3/8. 10 1, 2, 3/8. Count that twice. So 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Nice and clean, right on over. And now we've got our right measuring point. Now we can start to measure our distances of our units through our measuring points along our plane line. Okay, that's important. I've got them coded blue against blue, red against red to measure. Okay, so it's a lot of measuring that's going to go on, so stay with me. Just remember that when we go to the measuring points and then we go back to our vanishing points, that's going to be important. Now remember, all of these scaled units, okay, they demarcate 3 feet of space. It's really a yard. Keep that in mind as we go forward. All right, so let's start to measure some. So I'll continue to color code. So let's demarcate now. Let's start on the right measuring point, and let's start to demarcate notes, measurement ticks, if you will, on our right plane through. Okay, that's important. So we'll start here and go forward. So each marcation of scale on the ground line through the right measuring point to the plane line there, and we'll demarcate a point that will give us a measuring point of scale in perspective. So from the ground line, let me repeat that as I draw, from the ground line through the measuring point where it bisects our right plane line, that's where we demarcate our scale, and that's it. That's where you go to. So I'm just going to continue to bring that scale out as we go through. That's what it's starting to look like as I demarcate my scale. Let me come in a little bit so you can see that further. There we go. I'm going to see that. I just keep lining up my edge to my demarcated scale marks. We're going to the right measuring point. Keep that in mind. Going to go pretty far over. There we go. There, and one more. There we go. And now we want to go continue on, but now we want to come back. We want to hit that blue plane line. Okay, so let me come out a little bit. Be careful of that from the right measuring point through my scale marks here on my ground line to our right plane line. That's where we make our marks. So from our right vanishing measuring point through our scale back to our plane line. And you notice they're going to get wider as they come towards us. Through 0 here. There we go. Be accurate, keep it slow. It's easy to get confused. I've done it several times in my practice. Several times. Here. Through the measuring line, make a mark on the plane line. Right measuring point, through the ground line or measuring line, on the right plane. You keep on going through there, and that should be plenty as we start to come out of the cone and really start to get distorted there. All right, so my next move, so I'm going to sharpen my pencil, and now we're going to draw now these depth projections, diminishments on the ground, back to the left vanishing point. Okay, back to the left vanishing point, not the measuring point, but to the vanishing point. Just be careful. So we'll start far out here. Let me get my longer ruler. Okay, I found it. It fell on the floor. I didn't hear it. Okie doke. So remember now, we're going to go back to from the measured tick marks on our plane line back to the left vanishing point. Really important. LVP back to our ground measuring lines here, all the way through and over. Kind of overdraw there nicely. Do a little bit further actually. Take it really slow. This is methodical. Really want to get this right. Go through your marks. Back to the left vanishing point through your measured plane. There we go. And you keep on coming out. Keep that pencil tip nice and sharp. I know I sound like a boring, old, broken record. It's exactly what I want to sound like. So you do it right, you do it correctly, and you keep your aesthetic and your look sharp and disciplined and clean. So left vanishing point through the measuring marks we make on our left plane here, and you keep going. And we keep going. We keep going. Not much to say, just executing the technique through the right plane, the blue line, right plane where we put our measurements all the way across. That one's done for us in red there. I'll skip that and continue to go over to the next measuring line on the blue, the right plane. Don't go off anywhere else. It's easy to do that and get distracted. I have to watch myself at times. To be honest, I've screwed up a couple of videos because I forgot. I got too much going on in my mind. So if it makes you feel any better, I screw them up too. Mostly it's just a matter of paying attention and being focused. Sometimes we get out of focus. It happens. Don't let it kill you. Coming through the blue plane line of our measurements. I mean, these are 1 unit increments, and they're 3 feet in scale now. Long. So you see how I'm overdrawing? We're going way over. That's what I want. I want a lot out there. That's a good thing for now. through there, through the left finishing point. Okay, and out and over, and out and over. And that's good. We've got a lot of good ones there. Okay, now we're ready to go and measure our left plane, our red line, using our scale. Let me sharpen up my red pencil. I don't edit these little sharpenings out. They take a little time, but I want you to see that you practice what you preach. So now we're going to measure on our red scaled line, our left plane, going back to the left finishing point for the left measuring point. So let's start from our blue line out this way, and then we'll come back and retread. So from the left measuring point through our ground line, our scaling lines, our points, okay, we'll make marks now from on our left plane line here. Okay, at 1 here, line up to our left measuring points. Got to go through our left measuring point. Make sure you get that. Now I'm at 0 on mine. Back to my left measuring point along our left plane line. I left it in red so we can see that. Keep on coming here and here. Okay, and I'll just keep going. Just make sure that if you're lost, you might have gone to the vanishing point. That's what we don't want. That's where you get a little confused. Left measuring point to each scale line. There. Go. I'm just going to keep going here from the left measuring point to each scaled line. There, left measuring point to each scaled line. There, make sure you line it up. If it pops out, just go back and grab it in place. There you go. And I'll keep on going over. There's a long way to go. We've got time. There we go. They get pretty small, so try to be very accurate along that left plane measuring line there. And you keep going out, and that's pretty good. There we go. So I've got quite a bit out there. Now I'm going to come forward here. Now we have to measure backwards. This always gets a little confusing at times. So from the left measuring point, I line up through my scale lines, and we measure backwards. So instead of going forward, you're just looking back to that red line. Okay, line that up, back to, along each scale line, back to, and one more. When it starts to get truly vertical and beyond, that's kind of where I stop. We start to get really, really distorted at that point. Now we've got a lot of good measuring lines to work from here. So let's take your technical pencil and let's sharpen it up, nice and clean. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to start going back to where? Which point do we use? It should be obvious. It should be obvious, right? We want to go back now to the right vanishing point. The right vanishing point. Even though we're measuring on the left plane, that depth and dimension goes back to the right vanishing point. So I'm just going to start way out here to the edge of the boundary here and go back to the right vanishing point. Right vanishing point, not measuring point, but vanishing point through my measured marks. And just keep on coming out. There we go. Okay, we just keep on coming out. Those are pretty distorted because they're outside the cone. And then we're going to start getting inside the cone. Then this one's done for us at 3 here. Okay, you're going through your left plane marks on the red line there. Nowhere else. That's where you're lining up. That's where you could get confused. And I've done it before too. There. Okay. There. You just keep on going. I think this is probably the hardest part for students. Getting this done. Once you do it enough, you get it. And then if you don't do it for a while, if you go back in your notes, revisit your notes and you remember. There we go, and right through. Okay, just be accurate. That was a little bit wider than I wanted, but I'll be okay. Right through there. Keep on going through those marks. I'm almost there. There we go, through every one. almost there. A few more to reach just in case we need them. So we overdraw some, and then we can cut into this a little bit. Here we go. Get my pencil all measured in. And last one. That was a lot. Oof. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we've got a good, really nice, solid, gridded plane and 2-point. And remember, all of these equal 3 feet units of space. So a 6 foot figure laying down would take up the length of these two units. Keep that in mind. That's pretty important. Okay, so the next part is to demarcate the ground floor plane of our structure. And that's going to be 10 units to the left and 18 units. Make sure I get that right. 18 units to the right. That's important. So, now where do I start? Let me bring out my notes and show you. This is going to be a little challenging, but I want to get this right. All right, now you see where I've got the red tile colored in. Now, I started at 0. I went to this tile in the corner, okay? Then I went 3 diagonals down and then 1 over. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. So it's the tile at 0, the right corner, then 3 diagonals down and 1 over. All right, so let's recreate that. So 0, where the tile goes through, right in through there, okay? 3 diagonals down and 1 over. It's this one right here. So I'm going to color it in red. That's where I started from. So let me color this out in red so you can see that. Remember, it's relatively the corner of 0. It doesn't quite come through 0. It doesn't quite, frankly, doesn't have to. That's okay. But it's the corner at 0. 3 diagonals downward to the left, 3 diagonals downward, right, and then 1 more over, not down, but over. That's where I start my measurement at 10 over and 18 over. All right, so let me come over now, and let's demarcate this better. So from this corner, I'm going to make this a stronger corner so we can see that nice and dark mark. Make sure I'm in the camera. Let me come in a little bit too, so we really can see that. Make sure we keep that in there. There we go. It's in. Let me bring it up manually to my board. There we go. All right, so that's the start of 10. So we're going to go 10 units over to the left. So we count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to put a bigger dot there so you can see that. And then I'm going to darken that in, this line in through here, so we can really see that. Okay, that's important there, and I'm going to darken it a bunch of times so we can see it. This is important. This is the left corner of our structure. Here's the front corner coming at us. Okay, so that's 10 units to the left. So I'm going to demarcate that here. I'm going to put 10 units, okay, to the left. That's the left, and that means that's 30 feet. 10 times 3 is 30, right? Yes, 30 feet. So we have that over there. All right, so now we're going to count 18 over from the corner. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're halfway there. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. If you can't get to 18, that means you need to go back and scale a little bit further out to give you 18. Now you could make it 16 or 15, but it's going to be a little bit different from mine. Just know that. All right, so I'm going to darken in my line here. It's on the blue line, so you can see that. It just happened that way. So notice we started from a different area. Remember, we started from here, right, and we scaled out, but because we brought the lines back in a way, we can start to scale anywhere we want. So there we go. We have 10 left, and now we're right at 18. So I'm going to label that over here. So we're right on the right side. We are 18 units, and 18 times 3 is 54 feet. Okay, so 54 feet. So that gives us a total square footage. I'll write that down here so you can see it. So I'll say our square foot total then is 1,620 square feet. So square feet is 1,620 square feet. So that's a nice size little structure for a house or office space kind of thing that we're working on. So now what I want to do is darken everything in, but also darken the back areas too over there. So I'll take, and we're going to darken in what we have here. So start back at 10, that brings me all the way over. So that way we can see it better. We want to keep a nice clear vision of what we've got there, and of course there. So we've got that working for us. Now we have our plane that we can start to work from and build up from. That's going to be important. So we've got that. Okay, so we're there at 10 by 18, 1,620 total square feet. And remember, each unit is 3 feet. So buy 3 of those. Keep that in mind. Now the next thing we're going to do, I've got in my notes, we're going to find this structure coming up. So this is the back corner of our room. We're going to bring that up, right? So we need to scale that some. So we're going to have to scale from and make a referencing point. Each floor now is going to be 15 feet tall, or 5 units, because each unit is 3 feet times 5 is 15. So let's demarcate that. Let's find that so we can find that back corner so we can build these platforms out. That gets a little complicated, but we can do that. So each floor now is 5 units. So the first thing that we're going to do, go back and get my T-square here, is drive up now from the back corner of our room here. There we go. So it's in the back corner, right? There, up. And I'm just going to draw it fairly high up, higher than certainly I need to, right in there. All right, so we have to now find through scaling where we want to put our our second floor and the top ceiling level. All right, so we need to do that from our scaled here center of vision line at 0 up. We've got these scaling units up here for a reason. So our elevation is already at 6, that's 18, right? We need to come down 1, drop down 1 to find the end of the first floor. So we need to drop a reference line from 0 through the corner of our room or our building here, right through here, back to a reference point right there. Okay, so there's our RP, there's our reference point right there. And then we need to find 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now take that scaling and drop it back to our reference point. So right there, right on through, I'm going to drop pretty light so you can see that. Right where it touches, that's 15 feet, that's 5 units. Okay, we're going to demarcate that in a moment. We'll go further than that in a moment. Now we need to go 5 more units up, okay, for 15 more feet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. Okay, so 5 units. 5 units from our 5th unit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll demarcate that. Then back to our reference point, right through here where it bisects our room. That's going to be our relative top of our entire space. Okay, there's what it looks like right in through here. So 5 here, okay, right there, and then another 5 up through here to get us our ultimate height. Now, I'm going to give us a little bit of thickness too as well. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to just guesstimate it at about 1 foot unit. Okay, so just to give a little thickness to our floor, we'll make those, instead of 3 units, we'll make it about 1, 2. So 1 would be right in through here. Okay, and I'm going to demarcate it on this line right through here. And then I'll go back to our reference point, and I'm going to do it in graphite. Back to our reference point, right in through there. I'll put a dot there, demarcate it. That's the thickness of the room. right in through there, okay? That'll make that a little bit less than 15, but I'm totally fine with that because that's plenty of height for human beings. Now we'll do the same thing up here, about a foot for our total thickness. Back to our reference point here, okay? Back to our reference point there. Bisect, it comes back, it bisects through our corner, and right there, that's going to be our true and total ceiling height right in through there. So I'm going to lighten up this line, this vertical line, just a little bit here so we don't get confused. We want to make sure that we're not confused by that. There we go. All right, okay, so we have that. So now we can start to project up and around and over our planes of our room. So the first thing I want to do is let's bring up the corner of the left and the corner of the right. Let's bring that up. We'll raise it up a good distance. Okay. Here's a good overdraw there, so we'll overdraw just a little bit, and right there we'll overdraw just a little bit, so we can have that. Now we'll come through the right vanishing point over here. Let me clean that off a little bit. It's getting smudgy with so many lines. So from the right vanishing point through our top of our ceiling here, that second line, make sure we get that second line right in through here. I'll draw lightly, then it's a little bit darker because we want this plane coming forward to there, right to there. That's what we want. Okay, so we have that through here. That's the darker line we want for our wall and through here. That's 18 units, that's 54 feet in length. Now we'll come from our left finishing point through that corner, right? And we'll go out to, very lightly, out to here, to the end of our right wall over through here. It's kind of just the opposites effect, right in through there, okay? So now we have that through there. So now what we want to bring this to a conclusion to make our ceiling of our structure. So what I want to show you is right through the corner of our platform. That's the edifice ending of our building. So we'll bring this up here from our corner. I'm going to do it in red so you see it nice and tall here. I'll overdraw some so you can see that. I'll put a little arrow in through here to tell you that's that corner coming up. So that's where we know to stop our edge, and then from our left vanishing point through the back corner of our room or our building, through there, up to our red line here, our corner line, right in through there. Okay, so we have that, and now we bring that point back to our right vanishing point here. There we go. And you'll see that they'll line up. There we go. If they don't line up, if you're way off, if you're like off this much, you've got a problem. If they're off a 16th or a 32nd, it's just a pencil thickness issue. It's not a big deal. So right in through there. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our ceiling. Now this building is going to be mostly, I'm going to conceive it as glass. So this is all, these front areas are glass, the side areas glass. But the back, this back wall back here, way back here, that'll be concrete. I'll just conceive it like that. I think that's fine to conceive it. So I want a little thickness now for our concrete back here. So let's make it about 1.5 feet, about half of this tile down into here. So how do you find it half? You want to be pretty accurate. You can just find its center by doing a crossing X, okay? And then there's the center. Bring that center from our right vanishing point over to the end of the tile for scaling. See how that works nicely? And that's our thickness. So I can thicken it up here, back to our left vanishing point, and then bring that up. Okay. Bring that up. Right from that point up, and kind of overdraw a little bit, and where this continues downward on this angle here, right there, that's the thickness of our concrete. So that's about 1.5 feet of concrete. We might need it more for structure, but that's okay. We'll be all right. Okay, so we have that now. So we have this nice cube going, And let's now add floors and dimensions to that. So let's start from the top floor. We'll work our way down to the middle floor. So from the top floor, we've already got the ceiling. Let's get the thickness now. Let's just recreate this again. So from the right vanishing point, we'll go through our demarcated point, okay? We'll draw through here, right through the end, the first line, right in through there. Okay, we've got that. Let's do it now on the left side here. Okay, we'll do it on this side. We'll go through our demarcated line up to the ending line over through here. There we go. Okay, that's glass. It'll be glass over there. Now let's bring it from this point up and over to here. Okay, so from the left vanishing points through that line, through this point right here where it touches, right there, up and through to our corner, right there. Bingo, we've got that. And now we can bring that back to, using the right vanishing point, back to this corner, and you see how they line up pretty nicely right in through there. So we have a nice thickness to now our ceiling right there. Okay, and of course I can darken that up a little bit through here. Make that feel structured. So there we go. So now we've got a nice thickness through there. These are darker here, just to show you that ends all the way over if you wanted like that to get our thickness in through there. Okay, so now we've got that. Now we've got the middle floor to put in, or the second floor really, because the ceiling is the ceiling. And remember, that's roughly 15 foot or 5 units high with an extra foot of thickness. So the second floor is a little bit lower than 15 feet. It's about 14 feet, which is okay. Just to make sure you know that. It's not that important, just for our aesthetics, but if you want to be technically correct. Okay, so let's start with the top one here, where the feet would touch the ground of the second floor, and let's come through from the right vanishing point through all the way over through here. Okay, you can go all the way through if you want. Either way is fine. Okay, and let's do the same thing with our second line in through here. Come through a right vanishing point all the way over through there, right? Good to go. Let's do it now from the left vanishing point over to our right wall plane. Let's bring that over. Left vanishing point where they touch over. And they're pretty close to eye level horizon line, so it's going to get flatter. Okay, like so. There we go. So it's going to get flatter, especially when we scale it. So see how close? It's a little bit lower than the horizon line, which is nice, so we can actually see some people up through here. But it's close to our eye level, which is what? 18 feet high, or 6 units at elevation, or the horizon line. Okay, so now we want to bring these 2 points over to our corner through the right vanishing point. There's our top. We'll just finish our top out first through there. Okay, and then over through the right vanishing point, excuse me, through the left vanishing point. You'll notice how they line up right there. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing with our bottom line here. Right through there, line that up. Here, through here, over, right, over to that corner, and then from that corner back to our left vanishing point. They'll line up pretty nicely. There we go through there. That's it. Okay, and I'll darken this in over here just a little bit better so you can see that. And then I'll darken those corners in. And now we've got the basics of our structure for our 2 platforms, if you will, our 2 floors. So each floor is roughly 15 feet, with the second floor being a little bit shorter. Okay, there we go. So now I want to put on the pillars here. I want to put these pillars on. These 6 pillars. They're pretty easy to do. So when we get one, we can just bring the other one all the way up. So it's really pretty easy. Each one of these now is going to be of a 3 unit here, half of that. So really a foot and a half of square thickness through there. And so you know how to do that. So what we'll do is we'll find down here now our center by our crossing X. Do a center there, there, and there, and that gives us our center. By the way, that would give us the center of all these quite easily. And we'll put the next one at 9. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll count actually count the the planes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9's there. So we'll put one through there and then one through the edge there. So I found my center there. Let's transfer it both from the left and the right vanishing point. So from the right vanishing point, we'll demarcate the edge here from our center. Just draw through there if you want. And we'll do it all the way on the back one. So we have that. And then at 9 too, which is going to be this one. So just demarcate your one at 9 and you can put it there. So I'm here, I'm at 9, and I'm at the very back. Let me make that back mark a little stronger. It gets pretty tiny back there, so keep that pencil pretty sharp, right? And then now we need the thickness from the left vanishing point coming out through the center to give us our right side right in through, of course, right in through there. And we're over here now at 9, so let's see, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 9, I missed it, so I have to go back and do the other one. So you can miss it. I had an 8 running through there. I'll just do both like that. Okay. And of course that's our center, and then half of that over, which is where we'll put that pillar through. Need that center line through there. Sorry about that. Right in through there. Okay. So it gets tiny, and then there we go. There's our pillar plane right in through, all colored in so you can see it right in through there. And then it gets pretty tiny over and through here. I'll just kind of, no, better not guesstimate it. Through, there's our center, and right on over through there. But I'm going to push this one over now to the back corner. We'll use that back corner, okay? So again, it will look like that. So I'm using that. We found our center there. And I'm using the back corner of this one like we'd use the front corner. So a little bit different place to put our center. Here in this one, we could have put it in the more of the true part of the center, bisected that, but I'll just put it in the corner since it's a little bit easier. Okay, so now we can come up to our columns, and this is not so bad once you get the hang of it. So we'll have already the front column in red. Push this out of the way. There we go. So we have our front column in red. Here, up, there. We can stop there, and then we can keep on coming up to that ending corner. Then we have the second area of our column right through here, so that can come up nice and vertical. You can end it here at the ground, or the plane line of the concrete structure, and then start it right here and end it right there. So there's our column, and then our last plane that we would see would be here, up, stop it at the floor, and then continue it out through the thickness and up all the way to the end there. So now we have our column there. Pretty easy, right? Now we'll do the same thing over here. Don't get confused, it was this one here, not that one. So here's our corner plane. We'll drive it up, stop where it meets the thickness, then continue it after the thickness is over all the way to the end here. There we go. And then we'll bring up the left side here, up till it ends at the thickness. Then let the thickness be as it is, and then bring it up to there. And then we need to bring this angle over a little bit since we're looking over. We already have that plane. So from here, this corner, we go back to our left vanishing point, right in through here, and up and over, and there's where it hits the ceiling, right in through there. That's pretty important to see. Right in through there, okay? Because we're going to be touching that corner pretty easily since we're off that corner. Now from this point all the way up to the end of the thickness of the next floor, the bottom, and then recreate that, start all the way up and into the complete thickness right in through there. So there's a couple lines I want to erase for you. I want to erase these out a little bit so you don't get confused on that column, so we can see that all the way through. That's it. I'm just going to erase through it and then redraw it so you'll see it. That's important. This is a thickness here, this is a thickness there, that's a thickness there. And these get a little bit erased, and this is what an eraser shield is for, is to get in there and be able to get those little marks out a little bit there. And then also I'll cut off that edge a little bit there so you can see it. Okay, a little bit better. There we go. Then of course through there a little bit. Okay, all right, so we've got that column. Now let's bring up one more column here from the corner. And it's pretty tight in there. Let me sharpen my pencil out. It's important. Okay, so the column here, the thickness, where it starts at the corner, up, right in through here, in where the thickness ends, right in through there. That ends right in through there. Now we've got the thickness of the center. Basically, we're bringing this center line over to here. Okay, and it ends about right there. It's pretty tight, mine. Up to the thickness, right in through there. Start back at the thickness, up, and it will end. Let's see, so we've got this corner to tackle. It comes up and through. It ends right there, and we're good. We're good to go. Right in through here, and then this line right there is what we want. So let me come in and I'll show you that. It's really pretty tight. Right in through here. Right in through here. It ends on this angle, not up in through there. So let me make sure I erase enough through here. This is where these little Japanese mono erasers, look how tiny this thing gets. Isn't that nice? And so I can erase a little bit more for you. Right in through there, off that edge. That's where that ends. Okay? And this comes here like so. Okay? And then we get erased this a little bit. So I can clean this up so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. Here. Alright, and then we can lighten this line through so we can start to see this a little bit clearer. And I think we just about get it. Okay, so we've got that. Let me darken this in now. These through. These all kind of come together. Right, so we're through there. Make sure we're not messing up the camera too much. So just be careful. This is the ultimate back of the room in through there. I think that's important to see. Okay, and then I can erase this out a little bit so you can see that a little bit further. We'll clean this up a little bit. Let me come out because we're getting closer to what we want in through here. Now let's take a measure here. Let's lighten these up a little through here. Lighten these up a little through here so you can see through that. Want to make sure you see that. The next stage is going to be scaling now. That's important. Lighten that line up a little bit further. It's pretty tight in there. Right in through here, for instance. We'll start to lighten that up so you can see that. Okay, now we're good. So, our next step is, let me clean this off. All right. Okay, so we've got now 2 floors. We've got columns and pillars. We're good to go there. We might put in a few later on, maybe in here to give it some more structural integrity. But remember, this is glass, so we're looking through glass here and on this side, but this very back left wall back here, that's 18 units or 54 feet in length, that we would consider that to be concrete. I'll consider that to be concrete. Now, let's do some more scaling. Let's scale this floor and this ceiling. How do we do that? It's really easy. You'll be surprised how easy this is. So, whatever's true now down here, we can transfer it up to the other 2 floors. I'll show you how easy that gets. You just got to be a little bit meticulous when you do it. So let's tackle it. So I'm lining up my T-square now in my triangle. Okay. Now from these scaling marks, so this is the edge of our room here, we can bring those up and put marks across this flooring area. So let me demarcate this a little stronger to get that clean there. Okay. So we can put demarcated units along here and also along here to bring them left and right to our picture plane. They're going to look pretty slight, and they will be, okay? And that's okay because we're almost at the horizon line or eye level. So we transfer all of these points here along this plane up to here. Make sure you get that clear. So here we'll put a mark there, and then here. Okay, we'll put a mark there, here. We'll put a mark there, here. We'll put a mark there, here, there. And you get the idea. We'll scale that all the way over. And some of this is going to get so slight that it will be a little ridiculous, but you'll do the best you can right in through there. All right, now from these scale marks, we go back to the right vanishing point, all the way to the end of our unit here. Let me see one thing I didn't finish. Okay, sorry, this column needs to end, right here on the floor, and also here. I knew I forgot one thing. I knew that didn't look right in through there. So that little line right in through there. Sorry about that. Right in through there. It gets complex. So there should be just a little space between that column and the floor. Now let's go back right vanishing point through our scaled units, and we'll draw them through, over on the ground, and through to the back wall, where the wall meets the floor. It's the top line right in through there, and I'll just keep scaling over. Here, gets meticulous, through here and there, all the way over. Okay, we'll keep bringing it over. We've got one there. That second line is from the thickness of our wall over to there on this side. So just be careful of that thickness line. There, and our next mark there. Okay, it gets pretty tight. And sometimes when it gets so tight, it gets a little useless. You can use another scaling, like you could scale the wall. But I wanted you to see this. I think it's important to see it, to see how you can transfer the scale really mightily easily, quite frankly. It just depends on the usefulness. So we're almost done here, scaling over. Just be careful. Got 2 or 3 to go. There and to there is what we see. And then these two, these are going to run so together they're going to look like one. And that's okay, because the space gets so small that the pencil thickness, the 16th or 32nd, takes it over. So now we've scaled back to the right vanishing point. Now we can do the same thing from these demarcations here along the blue, here, 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 because that's where we are with our link. Basically, we're at the corner of our building, and we're going to push that up and over to up in through here, right? Now we could have kept going and do the same thing, but I want to do each floor at a time. So you could even abbreviate that further, right? You could have gone here, up, and through. So let's do it on this side, but now I'll expedite that a little bit, and we're going to bring these units of measurement not only to this line, the top floor, but also the bottom line of our thickness over here, so we can keep moving a little faster. Okay. Sharpen my pencil. Hang in there, you're doing fine. It's not easy, but it's really not that hard, and it's so integral to good spacing. Okay, so here we make a mark along there and along there. Make a nice clean mark, but clearly communicate to yourself where things are at. So the middle floor and the top ceiling for here and here, I'm just bringing our scaled units up and over. I'm not drawing a full line, it just gets to be too much, doesn't it? There, and then from here over to there, scaling. There, there, and through here, and through here, and right in through there, through this back unit. Just keep on coming over. It gets pretty slight, I know. Do the best you can. That's why you have to keep that pencil just so tight, 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 tight. I think I missed one here, right through there. I find that's challenging to talk and draw and keep it all together. If I make a mistake, hopefully I can catch it. In class they can catch me, but on a video you can't catch me. Every now and again I'll make some mistakes. There we go. There, and just a few more right to go. Here, and then one there I've got. There and there. Okay, so now we can drive all these points that we've demarcated here and here back to the left vanishing point on our floor. So the middle floor will be done after this. So we'll go back to the left. Here we'll skip through the post and then back to the corner of our room. Here's our next demarcation. Skip the post and then back through to the end of the corner of our room. And you got the idea. There and over. And the next one. There and over. And the next one. There and over. And the next one. There and over. And you just keep on going. And you see what you're noticing is you get, you know, a very, very, very tight look of measured tiles for scaling. It's almost defeats the purpose, but I wanted you to see it because you understand the look and see the nature of perspective. It's so very important to see how close we are to your eye level and horizon line in this case, since we're in 1.2 point. And then over, and it's pretty much just becomes almost shading, doesn't it? And so I'm going to end it right there, so it's not going to help me any more than that. But I wanted you to see that. So we have the two working together in harmony now that we're recreating. Okay, now we're going to draw from these points back to the left measuring point. So it's like having a scaled ceiling, so you can bring things over. And of course, you could bring that scale down to these walls if you want, if you find them helpful. As a matter of fact, you can scale every single wall, and it's a crazy mix of complexity, but it helps you if you want to find things. Later on, we just estimate, and we don't fuss over it so much, but now you know and can know how to get accuracy when you want it. So let's go from this point back. We'll end it here, the back line. That's our thickness line. Let me drive this in a little bit darker so you can see that here. Here and here's where we want it. Okay, from this unit here. Okay, we'll go back to the left vanishing point. Miss the column through there. Here. Miss the column. Back. Here. Miss the column. And back. Here. Miss the column. Back. There we go through this point. Miss the column. You get the idea. Here's the edge of the column. There to the end. And here we miss the column. And come through. Here. Miss the column. And come through. The hardest part is just being meticulous. Slowing it down. There we go. Another scaled mark. Miss the column. Come through. Another scale mark. Miss the column. Come through. Another scale mark. Miss the column now. Come through there. Just a few more. And one more. And we get pretty tight and through there. You can see that. And whoops. Back to the left. And there it is. Okay. So now we're almost there. So now we've got these movements to the left. Now let's bring up the measurements for the right. It's probably better to get them down here than it will be from this middle angle in through there. Okay, so let's now bring up our units of measurement. Remember, starting from each one of these, right, up, and we'll transfer them to here. Very, very simple. Just verticality, right here to there. There's where measurement goes. To here, measurement there, to here. From there, measurement there. Okay. From here, measurement there from each corner. From this corner here, up against that line. And you keep on transferring. There, over, there, and looks like one more there. Alright, so now we can bring from these markations back to our right vanishing point, which is a little outside the camera angle, but that's okay. I want to come in close so you can see that. Alright, so now from the right vanishing point, excuse me, from the right vanishing point, make sure I get that right vanishing point through these demarcated scale lines, miss the column here, all the way through, miss the column and back to the edge, and we'll keep on working through here. the back edge, miss the column, up through, miss the column, right there to the back edge, and we'll keep on going. There, miss the column to our scale line, line up to the right from the right vanishing point through each demarcated scaled unit. There we go. Right there from each demarcated scale unit, miss the columns. You could draw through them, but it's a little awkward. Right vanishing point through the scaled unit, line it up, miss the columns where you see that coming through, right through there. Same thing here and over, miss the column. And I think we've got just a few more. There's an extra line there for our thickness of our room or concrete, so don't get too confused by that. That's an extra line coming through. Just be careful, that could be confusing. And one more that's so slight. So slight through there, it's hard. Right through there, and there we go. So now we've got a good, nice, accurate picture of our building. Let's pull out, well, no, I don't have to pull out. We're pretty good right where we're at. So there we go. There is our structure. So we've got our structure in. It is 10 units to the left, and it's 18 units to the right. So we would convert that to feet because each one of these units on the floor is 3 feet. So we're 30 feet here by 54, right? And we are floor to ceiling, we are 15, so we're 45 feet high. So I'm going to put up here that we are 15, let's see, yeah, 15, and make sure I get that right. So we're 5 units here, which is 15, and 5 more, which is 10. I got myself confused. So 5 units, which is 15, another 5 units, which is 30. So so it's 15 units. You can see where it gets complex. So hopefully you're having a laugh at me. So 15 units, and that equals 30 feet. So we're 30 feet in height right there. Now our elevation is 18, so we see a little bit more than halfway up, right? And we can see a little bit into that second level. That's why I wanted to put the elevation a little bit higher. So we're 10 units by 18 units by 15 units, and you convert that into feet because each one of these half-inch or scaling equaled 3 units. So each tile equals 3 units or 3 feet. That would be 30 by 54 by 30 feet tall. That's important. All right, so now our next step, take a break before you do the next step. Take a break, go get a drink of coffee or a bourbon, or not if you're under 18 or 21, don't do that in the United States. Go drink some milk or a Pepsi or a Coke or water. But take a break if you've been working on this, and then let's put some figures and some simple objects in some of this space. But I think what we'll do is we'll put tracing paper on the top of it so we don't ruin this out if we don't like our placement. That's something else. It's like scanning this and putting it into the Cintiq and then doing it that way, which some of you have seen in my simple form lectures, but here we'll just keep it into tracing paper. Okay, so I'll be right back and we'll do that. All right, so now we're back, and I've got tracing paper over the drawing. So I've got in pretty close, and you can see where I flapped it a little bit up in here, and I've just flapped a piece down so we can see through it, so we don't ruin this drawing, the structure drawing, when we put ideas or forms or objects. So now we want to place some figures and maybe some little boxes or little desk-like cubicles that could go in through here. And the only thing we need, Mount, is maybe some referencing lines on our plane lines where our walls are, our back wall, for instance, so we can bring them over to our front wall. And one easy way to do that is just go back and use our scaling from our center of vision back to our back corner. That's going to be pretty easy. So we know that 1 unit is 3 feet, 2 units is 6 feet. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to drive this line right, back to the referencing point, back to the corner line of the room, like so. So line that up. Here we go, so I can see that. And where that touches that back corner, that's going to be 6 feet. So that's would be where a 6 foot figure would be. Now I can use some diminishment guides for that. I don't have to scale it as completely. That can get really confusing. And so what I can do from the right vanishing point, coming through this point, outwards all the way over and through here, right? I can use that. This can be a 6 foot now tall or 6 foot referencing point. And I can put it now against this point here. I can bring it over from the left vanishing point. It's like putting another floor on, but it's just 6 feet tall. And I can use that to reference back and forth as I want. It's a little bit simple form to do this nicely. So through here, right? So that's 6 feet. So anywhere that I draw this, I'm going to draw this all the way through, I can reference this height from any of these points against here, and they'll be, I know where 6 feet tall is. So from this corner right here, I can go back to the right vanishing point here, and that's 6 feet over to the very back corner of our structure, right through there, boom, that's 6 feet, right in through there, and of course back again over to that corner over there of our plane, and that's roughly 6 feet over through there. So I've got that to work with. So that's 6 feet tall all the way around. So anytime I want to plot something, I know that if I want to figure at least 6 feet, or if they're taller than 6 feet, or any object, I can either go at that size. It gives me a nice quick scale referencing. And of course I've got my scaling down on the ground to really help me work through that. Now let's get one up here as well. So if we come up, we can say now that that's 6. We started this particular floor back at this unit here back in. And so we really want to get 6 feet right from this corner back in through here, correct? And bring that up. So how do we do that? Well, pretty easy. So we can say that that was about a foot, right? This is another 5 feet here at the horizon line, so that's about 5 feet in through here, okay? Right in through there, kind of coming through to the reference point, right in through there, and then probably a little bit taller than would be, so let's say another, a guesstimated right in there would give us through to our reference point outward. Well, actually, sorry, we need a reference in through here. Sorry about that. So that would be 3, and then half of that, about right in there, would be another foot to make us get 6 foot. So back to the reference point in through here, actually. Kind of messed all that up. So right in through there. We'll get that cleaned up. So right in through there would be 6 feet. So I guesstimated this was in the 5 foot mark, and we had a little extra because of the thickness. I brought that up, and we got our 6 foot mark here against our back wall. That's what we want. Now we bring it over in red, okay, from the right vanishing point, and make sure you go through the reference point. I went a little bit further that first time. That screwed that up, but it went through the reference point anyway, so just keep that in mind. I'm fallible. So right in through here, all the way through to that corner edge, right in through there. There's a 6 foot guide for scale through there, and then back through this corner, through the left vanishing point, outwards, okay, to the end corner, right in through there. There's another 6 foot guide on the other side. That's 6 foot, and then back to the right vanishing point, all the way through to the end of the building, right through there. There's another 6 foot guide. So that's 6 foot all the way across, and through here, and then back over from the right, from the left vanishing point, back through this corner, and they'll line up, and that gives you kind of a 6 foot diminishment guide in through there. And so you have that. Now you could put, if you wanted to leave that, a couple things. You could draw that on your paper, and then put tracing paper over. I just went ahead and put it on tracing paper there. I just want to make sure that we can see through. We can still see through nicely. So I'm going to put another sheet of tracing paper on top of it. I think you can actually see through the camera better than what I can see through. So I'm going to put another sheet of tracing paper on top of that so we can have an extra so I don't ruin that red line. And that tracing paper, the one with the red lines, becomes fixed, and it doesn't get, again, like I said, ruined by if we don't, you know, like what we drew. Now we can start drawing in some figures, and we'll put them at 6 feet. And if you wanted shorter, it's up to you how you want to put that. I just think I'll just put six foot figures in all over. We can put quite a few because it gives it a kind of ease and formality to it, even though life is not quite so simple or easy. All right, so let's start working a little bit. So let's say if I wanted to put a figure maybe here and then back a little bit, so I'll put a little line there. All I have to do now is bring up a vertical. Okay, so let's see where I've got my ruler a little bit. So this is pretty technical. So we'll bring up a little vertical there, right? Okay, so from this point back a little bit, okay, then we'll bring up another vertical guide through. That's 6 feet right through there, and then we'll go back to the left vanishing point here, and where that meets that line, the first line I drew right through there, that would be what our 6 foot figure would be. So we'll just kind of sketch him or her out. We'll make it maybe a female. So you just kind of have to get your proportions, get a feel for it. We're looking above them, so we'd see on top a little bit like so, kind of coming down. Like so. So maybe she has on, maybe we'll put a pantsuit on her. I don't want to be sexist, too sexist with a skirt. So there we go. Feet in through there, and we have a 6 foot, figure right in through there. So it's 6 foot in scale, in perspective. So now we can use scaling, or we can reference her all over the place. I'm going to still use our scaling. Let's say we want another 6 foot figure over here. So I'm going to put a dot where I want that person to come out of. And I'm going to come in a little bit closer so we can continue to see really deeply what's going on. And so we can put a dot there if we want that. Of course, we could be off the corner. It's just really, really easy to do that. And I'll just draw a vertical line up. Okay. So how can I reference her? Well, I've got a referencing line. Easiest probably is here. Go back to our corner and then come up with a line back to where it's 6 foot. Then from here, go back over to the right vanishing point here, right through there, and where it bisects through on over, there's a 6 foot person right in through there. So we'll put this, maybe it could be a male, maybe he's a different orientation, maybe this way, and through here. And then leg coming down right in through there. So there's a 6 foot person. Maybe he's holding a briefcase over and through here. Going to walk out a little bit later on. So we have a person there. Let's put. Let's just keep on going. Let's put a few more. Let's put one really close. Pretty easy, right on this. Maybe off from the corner just a little bit. So maybe right here on the edge, but a little bit, just kind of in this, maybe this close to the center of that tile. So how do we do that? Pretty easy. We come down and we'll see where his point could touch the outer edge. We could get a measurement there. Okay. From there, we're going to take a measurement. Then we're going to bring him up in just a vertical line for height. Then on that edge, we come up to our 6 foot line right there. Okay. And then bring that over to where that touches his height line right in through there. And there's our 6 foot figure right here. So let me darken in that line a little bit further. Here we go. And that starts to give you a sense of height. So let me come down a little bit. Make sure you see that even better. There we go. So to re-explain that, we just pushed him off this tile, and we put him in here, brought a line up, and then referenced from this point back from the left vanishing point to the edge up and then back over, and that gives his height off, kind of off one of the grid lines. Everything doesn't have to be so perfect. So maybe this figure is looking a little bit outside here. Maybe he's got like on a sports coat, and it's pretty kind of opened a little bit. Maybe his leg is like through here, looking through. Like so maybe there's a hand out through here and there. So we have another 6 foot figure in through here. And notice the scale changes, which is what you want in this particular structure. So let's go on and continue on with some more. Let's put some more out here. So I'm just going to pick a point anywhere randomly, and I'll just put a dot there. Doesn't even matter anymore. Now there's 2 ways we can do that. Using our scaling of our 6 foot scale across, our diminishment guide, or we can just reference one figure back even. So we could do that when they get smaller. So we'll do a little bit of both. So we'll take him, this middle figure here at 6 feet. We want a figure standing there at 6 foot. So we'll bring that figure up. Just put a vertical line up for a while. And then we're going to take a reference point from the bottom of this figure back through that bottom, back to the horizon line, which is right there, to be careful to find it, which is right there, and then back from that reference point, okay, back through to the top of the front figure that we're referencing, right through there, and where they touch that figure, it needs to go a little higher. It tells me where 6 foot is, right through there, bingo, that's where our next 6 foot figure is, right in through there, pretty small over. There, head, then we can get really abbreviated with our figure, almost just a couple lines right in through there. So there's our next figure. So let's keep going, let's go back to scaling. So we'll put one, let's say maybe over here in that area. Make sure we're in the camera, yeah. Okay, and then I'll just draw a vertical line up, just a reference for now. And then I'll bring him a reference line through the bottom of that line back to the front corner of our building here, and then up, okay, up to the red line, which is 6 feet, and then back over to the left vanishing point, or I could have used the right, just easier to the left, right through there. There's a 6 foot figure. So he's a little bit bigger than that one, but a little bit shorter than that one. So we'll make this one maybe more of a female with a skirt on this time. His legs running through there. There we go. Now let's continue on further. Let's put one maybe right here. I'll put that in the corner. And so once you get the feel of it, you can start to kind of cook and go faster. So if you get comfortable with what I'm doing, just keep on going yourself. So through here, I draw a vertical line up, and then we'll place that figure back to the left vanishing point, back to the corner of the room where the room ends, and then we have to go up to 6 feet. That gives us our guide. Up to 6 feet, right, and then back over through the left vanishing point, back over to our line for our figure, and there's our 6 foot figure right in through there. These could be like zombies, Office Space zombies that are roaming the whatnot. All right, let's put some like desk furniture and stuff. So if we wanted to put maybe a desk against, maybe off this wall a little bit, we wanted it about 3 feet. So we know this is 6, half of that's about 3 right in there. So we could put like a little cubicle type thing. We could bring this over. I'm just now sketching to the right vanishing point and then maybe down. So how wide? That's about almost 6 foot in length through here. We could bring this distance over 3 feet wide, about not quite 3 feet, or 3 feet tall, but not quite 3 feet wide, and down over. And maybe there's this little thickness over through here, top of the desk, and maybe a desk chair is going to be in through there a little bit. And then we could do the same thing over here. Maybe there's a desk cubicle that's, how do we know how tall it is? Well, I can start to guesstimate. Here's our 6 foot line. So if we bring this over, vertical line up, maybe one at 5 feet tall, so that's 6. Maybe 5 is about right here. Okay, so we can bring that from the right vanishing point to the right vanishing point over. Just have to be very meticulous with it, right in through there. So there's 5 feet tall. Maybe it's some kind of column thing. And then it goes back into the left, down. It's about 1.5 feet. Back to the right, so it's a little columned. Maybe it's like a shelving cabinet, like so. And you can see where this can get really complex. So the point of this is not to go on to do a detailed finished drawing. This is like a thumbnail sketch, size for this, but you can get some really intricate ideas going on there. But it's just, the idea is to start using perspective. Now, we've got a couple things I want to deal with. And we could have put more columns in, but that's okay. We didn't have to. I want to deal with the space up here a little bit and put some figures on the second floor. So maybe, you know, if you came back, maybe we should put a door in through here that would lead to another structure behind that would lead to an elevator to get them up to the second floor. Otherwise, they're trapped forever and forever, right? So let's pull in a little bit. So we'll go in a little bit deeper here. Let's see. Okay. Going a little bit deeper now that we're looking through here, and let's just put a door back here somewhere. So we know that we're 6 feet tall from this back corner to here, right? And so I'll draw a line up. That's 6 feet. Doors are a little taller than that. They're maybe about 8 or so feet. So here, maybe a little bit higher to maybe, I'll just put it past that second red line right in through there. And if we're guessing on thickness, this is about 3 feet. They're about 3 feet wide, probably about right in through there, and then up. I'll just draw vertical up. And then to get a better diminishment, we'll go from the right vanishing points here, and that's where the elevator would be. The opening to that would be at the top floor, and then we can put it down, just transfer that down to the bottom floor. So bring a line down here, and bring a line down right here. Okay, so we're bringing that down all the way to, let's see, where it touches the complete ground. Hello. Thus the tracing paper. Mine is a little bit milkier than what you see on camera because I can see a little bit. All right, so now here's our floor down here. Let me pull out just a little bit so you can see that. So here's where a corner of our floor meets, right in through here. So we'll block that in so you can see that. And we'll make it about 8 feet tall. So here's 6 feet coming across here, right? So about 2 more units, about right in through there a little bit, and we'll make that a little bit, whoops, a little bit stronger. So it's going to be a little bit bigger looking than it would be coming up here. And this could be just, I want to make this just a little bit taller looking. It looks a little bit off to my units. Actually, I'm going to erase this. That's too tall. About right in through here feels good for 8. So you have to just adjust. Because here's my back corner of my structure right in through there. So now we've got a way for them to get up and over and through here. So let's put some 6-foot figures over here. Let's put one against the edge here. Remember, this is glass, so they're not going to fall out. So maybe there's a figure looking up and out, bored with their daily grind. So let's put one maybe here. So up to this second red line right there, that's a 6-foot figure about halfway through this platform. And so I can make it a little bit stronger there, and pretty much just symbolic. There's a 6-foot figure. Maybe I can put one a little further back there. 6-foot figure would be, they're all to be about almost the same height. They're pretty close. Maybe there would be one back a little bit here, 6 foot. So we're guessing now because the space is so small, but it's a pretty accurate guess. And if we have one here that's against the other wall in the back, that would be about 6-foot figure sitting down. So we're starting to get a nice sense of scaling, you know, coming through. So let's put another one here, maybe close to the edge of the structure looking out. It's a beautiful day, maybe. Up, there's our 6-foot line. Maybe he's back, she's back just a little bit. Not going to matter too much right here. And there that figure is. Maybe their hands are folded and they're looking out at the universe or whatnot or whatever. Now let's put one way back here in the very back corner. We can come up, and she's pushed off a little bit, so right in through there, and then we can reference. I'm just kind of referencing from the left, right in through there, and it should be about 6 feet tall, about right in through there. So we can start to get that depth and distance pretty good. Now let's put like a piece of office furniture here. Let's put a really tall cabinet right across here, and we'll go up a little bit. We'll make it like, I don't know, here's 6 feet across. Let's make it another, that would be 6. Another 6 might look like this. Let's make it about 12 units here. Of course, we could scale it over here if we wanted to, but let's just guesstimate it for now. It's enough, right? So we'll make it about 10 or 12 units tall, about right through here. Then back to the left vanishing point to get diminishment there. And then thickness may be about, looking at about 3 units, so that's 3 feet, maybe a little about 4 or 5 units through here. So about 10 units by 5 units here. Okay, maybe it's some dividing apparatus too. Now from here, this point, we'll go back to the right vanishing point. So I'm just using easy 2-point perspective now right through there. And maybe it's a little bit longer than it is deep, so that might be, if that's 5, this might be 7. Right through here, because we're in perspective there and over. And then from this point back to the right vanishing point in through here. There we go. Okay. There we go there. So we have a nice unit there. And let's put up maybe a person pulled back a little bit to there. This will be our last person. Pulled back a little bit to there. And so we'll bring that person to the wall here on the left through a reference line through here, right? So we stop there, and then we know we come up. That's 6 feet right there, kind of right to that edge, and then back to the right vanishing point, back over. Okay, just kind of draw construction line, and then bring up that height of this point here up to where we see that little line there, and there's a 6-foot person right there. Okay, doing whatever. Cup of coffee, talking on the phone, whatever, and we could continue to fill up this space with more and more information. So there you go. So we started out from a pretty complex situation with our 2-point measured and scaled form. Remember, this office space is 30 feet by 54 feet. It's 1,620 square feet, and it's 30 feet high. And then we had some diminishment guides for our figures. And of course, we could put more lines in through here. I didn't want to get too many. And then, of course, our basic structure running through there. Okay, so that gives you, a good opportunity to start getting even more complex. And of course, this could be taken as a thumbnail sketch now, and then put together, and then you can recreate this, draw this bigger, much larger, recreate the scale 2 or 3 times, make a painting of it. You really get into a lot of detail. These figures would come, 2 or 3 sizes bigger. The whole thing would be larger and really more manageable and more fun to finish out. Of course, you could have full color. It could be a painting or whatever it is that you want. But perspective is the guiding principle to help us figure out a complex situation. And again, remember, our elevation is at 18 feet. So we are here on the horizon line, right, looking out into the situation or the perspective, the scene of our composition, so we can see the second floor as well. And then, later on, if you wanted to add some, some lining, if there was some cool hanging lining, that could come down, and you could do all kinds of cool things. Point is not the detail so much as the structure of perspective. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get something out of it. Let me know how you're doing out there in YouTube land. Send me some images, and I'll try to give you feedback. I try to get pretty quick feedback to just about everybody if it's a question that I can answer. Sometimes I get questions I don't know the answer to. I don't know the answer to. They're kind of silly. But if you have a legitimate question, I'd love to hear from you, and I will get back to you no matter where you're at. If you're in India, England, Brazil, you name it, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, have fun with it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.